Holy smokes, he's actually making a video. Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies. I have put about 120 hours into Kenshi over the past couple of weeks, so yeah, I didn't really feel like making a video on anything else, and I didn't really feel like making a video on Kenshi either, but I guess now I have to. This game is just it's pretty much exactly what I want out of this type of video game. It's kind of like if Fallout 2 and Mountain Blade made a beautiful, very low, small staff, I guess? what do you call it? Baby. And yet, at the same time, it is beautiful and ugly. Welcome to Kenshi, probably the best post-apocalyptic, what would you call this? Kingdom builder, strategy, survival, sim, game kind of deal. There is a lot to talk about with this game. It has a wide range of environments. It has a gorgeously realized world, even if the graphics do harken back to the days of the Elder Scrolls Morrowind. There is more and more to see in this world the more you play this game. It's just the best feature about this game is the scenery, in my humble opinion, and to realize that this is accomplished with an extremely small team and over the course of a very long time on an engine that probably is a relic of the space program trip to the moon. I don't know, it's like I had a long day, but I've been enjoying this game over a long period of time. I got it quite a while ago, and I'm still getting a handle on it. And by the way, these things are absolute assholes. Just to talk about big things for a while. They hit for over 100 damage, which means that if they manage to slip through your armor, or if you're dumb enough to be running around their territory without armor, they can kill you in one shot. And they will also eat your dead body, or eat your dying body, rather. Oh look, there's a spot where I could have a base. Maybe I should build my base here. And the building in Kenshi is, well, it's fitting with the rest of the game. You start the game with nothing, or close to nothing, or less than nothing. There is a torso start to the game, where you are nothing but a limbless refugee. But this is not that. In fact, we are about 140 mods deep into Kenshi. I have a lot of mods running, and this is one of the most mod-friendly games that it probably is the most mod-friendly game that I've ever played. But to catch you up to speed, my group of people, starting with Lammy over there to begin with, has become 2 groups, and the forward scouting group has set up a little forward base of operations in this town, and we are gonna build our base in, what's it called, the Bone Lands or something? Just about one of the most inhospitable places you can build your establishment, but not the most. At least the weather is not trying to kill you. It's dry, but that's about it. Yes, that's a beak thing eating something alive in the background, by the way. Let's go kill that asshole too. So we've loaded up our pack animals, and I didn't show you really any of the start in Kenshi. I've done it a lot of times before, and it's rather slow. There are definitely a lot of ways to exploit this game if you don't feel like living the suffering simulator that this game was intended to be. And if you still want to punish yourself, you can start building a base, because not only does it take a massive amount of resources that you're going to have to source from local shops that might have 2 pills of aspirin in a bottle and a couple of rusty iron plates for you to purchase, unless again you've modded the game to make some more things available, and then they have about 50 rusty iron plates for you to purchase. But you're gonna have to pay for all of that. So it takes a while. There are definitely some ways to make it easier, and I'm availing myself of that opportunity to a certain extent. But I'm also getting a lot of my money by killing very dangerous, horrible monstrosities and skinning them for trading stock. And oh good, the local bartering hole is not currently being overrun by beak things, which happens. In fact, the shopkeep can get killed and then, well, you just don't have a shop anymore. But the game does accommodate those happenstances fairly well. You can import your old save into a new world and change, even carry over things like the buildings that you own and where everybody's located, because God knows it takes a donkey's age to get from one end of the map to the other, not to mention the hazards involved. So we're doing fairly well for ourselves, and we're trying to skin us up some beak things, but we keep on getting interrupted. You can see we've got Lamb E over here. This is a skeleton boy. Skeletons are relics of a bygone age when high technology was the name of the game, and the world broke. Skeletons and humanity had some kind of conflict that ended up with most of humanity getting wiped out, and then most skeletons just deciding that it wasn't really worth it to keep on living in this world anyway. And a lot of the skellies shut themselves off, and they just kind of gave up on wiping out humanity because, I mean, why bother at this point? The world's already bad enough as it is. And that's where you come into the game of Kenshi. I know I'm halfway into the video and I'm just introducing the world, but things move fast in this one. Like I said, a lot of hours of gameplay into this and not a lot of time to tell you all about it. But to briefly sum up whether this game is worth your time, it definitely has been worth mine. There's really nothing like it. It's sort of the base building aspects and the I guess you could call it colony management if you want to get to that level. But at first you're just trying to keep a handful of people from starving. If you can get a handful of people together, and if you can keep the slavers and the man-eating animals off of you, all the better. If you happen to be a skelly boy, again, skeletons, robot people, then you don't have to eat, but you do have to repair yourself, and that is significantly more expensive than using the preferred human or Shek. I haven't even talked about Shek. We have Klingons in the game. They're called Shek. There, I talked about the Shek. But the human or Shek preferred method of healing yourself is rubbing some dirt on your injuries and maybe wrapping a torn shirt around it. But the skeleton method of repair is a lot more expensive. In fact, it's even 2.5 times more expensive than that with a mod that I have installed, because it increases the capacity of healing items so they don't take up so much inventory space, but the downside is that also increases their cost. And skeleton healing items cost about 6 or 7 times as much as humanoid healing items, because repair kits in this day and age where people are whacking things with metal sticks Well, they don't come cheap, and they're few and far between, unless you've modded the shops to have more of them, and then they're just still super expensive. So, I'm making some new friends here after pummeling them into submission. They were very rude to attack me after I was just randomly exploring a certain area of the map where laser beams fall from the sky in your party-sized beams of death that can and will kill squishy humanoids in your party. And speaking of, this is something even more dangerous. The Leviathan, the largest living thing in the game at this time. And if it hadn't just gotten stuck on my walls and decided to stand there and get shot to death by my harpoons, which took about 2 days for that to happen, then we would have been in a lot more trouble. Generally, Leviathans are not aggressive, but sometimes your dumbass mercenaries decide they need to die anyway. Cannibals out here in the wilds, always a fun encounter, and that all goes to show there's something new every day in Kenshi. And yet, after you've seen everything, well, you can start doing new things. There are an incredible number of things to do in the game. Most of my time has been spent building a group of people that can be, of skelly bros that can be relied on to not choke on their own blood in a general combat if the odds are in our favor, and acquiring some somewhat overpowered gear and technology, some of which of course comes from the many mods that I have downloaded, but the general appearance of the game is almost completely unchanged. I'm using, I think, 2 optimization mods that compress the beautiful round texture files that we see here, and these are some very nice looking textures. By the way, the geography and the geology in this game are just stupendous. I haven't seen such a great representation of cool stuff that you can see in the landscape in really anything else, especially considering the diversity and the unified theme of the game. It's just very, very well done. And I'm eagerly looking forward to the year 2040 when Kenshi 2 comes out for that very reason. I'm sure we'll all be playing it on our calculators. So there's just a lot to talk about with this game. I know I'm not going to keep up with the events of the video that I'm showing you, but we've sort of advanced to the point in our equipment and manpower and the skill at arms that we can do some cheeky things like bringing a raiding party of skeleton robot bros into the most robot-hating, woman-hating He-Man superhero clubs that we can find, and there's an entire nation that is designed to provide just that. The Ochranites are a religious cult of, I guess you could say, one of the 3 major powers in the game. And all of the major powers in the game are assholes, by the way, for one reason or another. You think the Shek are kind of okay, but then it turns out they're just complete douchebags to everybody when they're not complaining about the fact that they're not fighting anyone. And then they pick fights with you. Those are the best faction in the game. Then you have the Empire, which does Empire stuff, and by that I mean extortion and slavery. And the Ochranites, the religious folk of the game. And oh, how beautifully do they come off. Just absolutely unlovable. But if you want to smack some paladins, well, there is a place to do it. But if your rallying cry is "Begone, Thought," well, you could always roleplay as an Akronite. Start in Akronite territory, be the glorious white alpha male that you're required to be at the head of their society, and just have yourself a fine little crusade, or maybe just end up in debt, in slavery, and reciting psalms as you work your fingers down to the bone in the stone mining pits. Everybody has their own kind of fun, I guess, and every flavor is available in Kenshi. The world building, the consistency of theme in this game is just absolutely top notch. Again, I mentioned Fallout 2, and for those of you that are more familiar with the 3D versions of Fallout, this is going to kind of fall on deaf ears, but Fallout 2 had some fantastic, Fallout 1 as well, had some fantastic world building that was then sold to the highest bidder. But before Bethesda, there was a very, very well put together role-playing experience in a vibrantly realized post-apocalypse, and of course Kenshi reminds heavily of that and has the same kind of consistency that builds an immersion and just really helps to set the stage for your adventures, and many adventures can be had. The game is actually it's uncaring, but it also has some forgiving aspects built into it. And what do I mean by that? Well, there are a lot of ways to get your ass kicked to this game, and there are a lot of things that will do just that. It's difficult to cut corners or take quick routes to power, and there is a wide range of effectiveness in terms of combat in this game. And yet, this is a game that also gives you something for getting your face punched in. Literally, your characters will grow in the toughness stat, which helps them to resist damage and also to endure taking more damage, stay on their feet, deal with injuries, and manage to hold themselves together a little bit better when they've taken a beating. And you will take a beating. My guys are wearing the best armor in the game, and it's actually probably better than the best because this is mod armor and it's modeled after the best armor, but it just looks a little bit better as well. I just like the look of it. I think it's appropriate for some skilly bros that are interested in high tech, and I don't know, I just like how it looks. And it doesn't hurt that it helps me resist a lot of damage as well. That is not to say that you can just wear a bunch of heavy armor and be fine, because you will also take more hits. You will not dodge attacks. You will move more slowly, and that means you will attack more slowly and clumsily as well. And that definitely makes a difference. So heavy armor is a trade-off in terms of offensive and defensive capabilities. But it also helps cover you for something else, and that is for the projectiles that your friends will hit you with constantly. But anyway, I guess that about does it for this video. This one went by very fast, and I guess I have more to say about Kenshi. I definitely have more to play, and I haven't forgotten about War Thunder. I still love the game, but I don't know, it's kind of doing something else right now. Catch you in the next video. Bye bye.